Ready? Thank you everyone for joining our benefit counselor training call for Ernest Packaging Solutions. On the phone we have Mike McCary with Colonial Life and Essential Benefits, the opener on the account, and hopefully soon to join us will be Crystal Lewis, who is the broker on the account who works at Lockton Insurance. I'm going to start off with, I'm sorry? Hello? Okay, I thought somebody was chiming in. For all of you who might be new to our district, one thing that we do that's a little unique is we throw some passwords at you during our benefit counselor training calls. We do this during the call so we know who's actually listened to the call and was here live or listened to the recording. So I'm going to start off with our first password for this meeting, and that is red, like the color red, R-E-D. Crystal, have you joined us yet?
I think so. Have I got it this time?
Yep, there you are. I can hear you.
Yay.
As long as you can hear us, that's really good. So everyone, I would like to welcome Crystal Lewis with Lockton Insurance. Crystal, I'm recording this meeting for any of the benefit counselors that was unable to attend. And what I thought I would do is let you get started. I know there's some things you want to go over regarding the group. And once you're done with that, we're going to still stay on the line to go over the colonial plans. You're more than welcome to stay on and listen in, or you can jump off if you need to as well. So, Crystal, I'm going to hand this over to you. Everyone, Crystal with Lockton.
Hi, everybody. I look forward to meeting as many of you as I can. A couple of things I just wanted to go over was I know that Mike was going to bring it up in your previous call and kind of talk to you about the relationship between Lockton and Colonial. I just wanted to reiterate the importance on this account and how important it is that we're really focused and on it and we're not making any mistakes. It took a lot to save Colonial on this account, and we're trying really, really hard to make sure that nothing happens at this point to impact the relationship that Lockton and Colonial have as of right now. I know my contact information is in your enrollment guide, and I want to make sure that you guys know that at any given time, if you need to call me, please feel free to call me. If there's any issue, any problem, anything with a manager, call me right away. I'm completely open. I'll be on location for a lot of them, maybe not on location, but in the area, or at least with the HR of Ernest. So that's pretty much all I had to say. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew I was there for any questions or concerns that come up within the enrollment.
Mike, do you have anything to add, or did you want me to just go over the Colonial benefits?
Just one note. So we just had our previous call, so most of the things that I would typically cover, we covered in our first. But I also wanted to let everyone know that Crystal is one of our kind. She is a Colonial person. She was a benefit counselor for, correct me along the way, Crystal, 3 years in Northern California out of Casey Kugler's district.
Yes.
And then Lockton found out about her and snaked her away. So when you're at these enrollments, you'll be talking to a broker representative who speaks our language. So that's very, very helpful, and I wanted all of you to know. I'm just going to pass it back to you, Ronnie.
All right, thank you. Since we already briefly went over the products, I can always swing back to that at the end if anybody has any specific questions regarding to the guidelines. But there was just a few things I wanted to make sure that you guys really focused on. And apparently last year, one of the other issues was transmitting under the correct BCN number and also under the correct database. I've done a lot this year to try to get that more streamlined for everybody, so there's not duplicates. So it's a little bit easier for you to know which is, the correct database and which is the correct billing control number. In your guidelines, and I have it up if you're on the GoToMeeting screen, you can see it, or you can look at it, your guidelines later on. There's a section where I call it transmitting. And we have 4 Harmony databases. Within those 4 databases are the 13 billing control numbers. So if you're not sure, just check with your e-guides, because I listed all 4 databases, what they're named, and which location billing control number is under which database. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's in there and to make sure that they use that. Also, since the call center personnel, especially for them, since, you know, a lot of you might only be going to one location, they might be dealing with multiple locations. So just make sure that you leave the correct database and go back into the correct database if you're going from one employee to another. Also, we are talking about call center, we do have a call center leave behind flyer. This is a flyer that I'll be emailing to all of you. We're not going to be handing out the flyer until after your on-site enrollment is completed. So whether you're enrolling for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, depending on the location, we want everybody to focus on, you know, obviously our first choice is sitting with the benefit counselor one-on-one. But when your day is finished at the end of the day, when you're ready to walk out and leave, you can drop off that call center leave behind flyer to HR for that location for any employees that were not there that day, on vacation, were sick, or for whatever reason you couldn't get to. So I just wanted to make sure. In addition to leaving the leave behind flyer with the HR department, I know, Mike, you wanted to make sure that regarding our election forms, we're going to be printing out 2. One for the employee and one hard copy for HR. And we want to make sure that hard copy for HR has a wet signature on that election form. Make sure you circle how many pay periods and, you know, the premiums. We just want to make sure people know what they're getting and how much they're spending. And at the end of each day, you can collect those election forms and hand it into your contact person at HR, along with the leave behind call center flyer. Also, we just found out that almost all the locations, except for Commerce, has no Wi-Fi. So for those of you who do not have a Colonial approved laptop and can enroll offline, you're going to need to bring a hotspot. If anybody has an issue where they don't have a hotspot and they don't have a Colonial approved laptop to be able to enroll offline, please give me a call tomorrow or send me an email tonight so we can try to figure that out. We just, you know, don't want to wait till the last minute to find out that somebody can't enroll because they can't get online. So you'll need your Colonial laptop, or you'll need a hotspot where you can get on a Wi-Fi. Let me see what else here. I'm sorry, did somebody try to ask a question?
Yeah, Ronnie, it's Dana. What are we going to be doing with the election forms on the call center?
I will talk to you after. I'll call you tomorrow regarding the call center.
Okay.
Because what we're going to do is we're still going to need to collect it. I could probably do a batch print, but most likely I would like for you to forward the election form like you would normally do to the employee. And if you can just maybe save to a PDF, because obviously we're not going to be able to get a wet signature from them on call center. And Mike, maybe that's something we can discuss if there's a way to get it to the locations, you know?
Yeah, I've got a comment. So clearly the issue with the call center is that they can't, you know, date it and sign it. So here's what I'd like you to do. For the call center representatives, if you'll make sure and include an instruction that when they send the enrollment election form to the employee, that they include a single sentence that says, please review the per pay period elections carefully, and if you have any discrepancies, please reach out immediately to the HR department so they can organize. Or is it better to have them reach back out to you, Dana, or go to HR?
If they need to make a change, they should be calling back the call center.
Yeah, I would think so. So yeah. So anyway, just have that nice clear statement and get that out to everybody in the enrollment guide that's going to be working off the call center. And it's the best we can do since we cannot get them to to sign it and initial it and date it.
Okay.
I do have a question about the signature and where you want us to put that. This is Summer at the Vista location. Do we leave it with the location contact, or is that something you want us to send elsewhere?
I'll cover that. So every night you want to take any associated paperwork with the enrollment. So for example, the enrollment election forms, and you accumulate those. I want you to scrub them, make sure that they're filled out correctly. We want you to alphabetize them in order of employee last name, and then put those in an envelope that is to be sent to the HR department. All the locations, I'm certain, have inter-office mail, and so you should, before the end of the day, ask a representative for an inter-office envelope and how the proper method of addressing that envelope to get to Tresha Mongol at the HR department, so she receives those enrollment election forms from all locations. And Ronnie, if you'll add that to the enrollment guide, oversight on my part. We should have had that in the enrollment guide.
Okay, for the HR contact to forward to Tricia. Okay.
Yeah, via
and in the enrollment, mail. Yeah, okay, inter-office mail. Okay. And in the guidelines, under the schedule location list is the name of the contact for each location. All right. Oh, by the way, our second password is going to be white, the color white, W-H-I-T-E. Okay. By the way, Crystal, are you still on the phone with us? I'm not sure if we lost Crystal. One thing that has come up and we do not have an answer for yet, and I'm hoping to get that to you as soon as possible, it has to do with the old individual cancer plans. Since we're moving them to group, some employees may have a riders attached, a progressive payment rider. We're going to be talking to the group to see if it's better for them to, if they're going to take it portable, or if they're going to leave the payroll slot for employees who have the cancer plan with any progressive payment rider that has anything building. That's going to be the only exception. So we're not going to.
Still here, Ronnie. Sorry, I'm checking into the hotel, so I apologize if it's loud. But they are not doing payroll deduction for those.
Okay. So we have our answer. They're not going to payroll deduct anything, any of the individual policies. Again, we don't want to advertise, you know, hey, you can take your Colonial Portable, because the whole point is to keep them payroll deducted and have them move over to the group products. But if you see somebody with a cancer plan, they have a progressive payment rider, in those circumstances where it's in their best interest to keep the plan, let them know that they can take it portable.
And I do have a list of who those people are, so if anybody needs to know who has a progressive payment, you can actually give me a call and I'll have it with me.
All right, and Crystal, if that's something you have printed out, I can forward it to all the benefit counselors.
Okay, I have it on the field bill written out.
Got a field bill? Okay, that was something also we were going to try to get out to all the benefit counselors, so everybody will be provided with a field bill as well.
Okay.
So Ronnie?
It doesn't list the actual plan code, so if you don't know the plan code and you need to know what the actual progressive rider plan code is, I have that.
Okay, terrific. We'll make sure we'll get the plan codes out to all the benefit counselors. Mike?
Okay, so Ronnie, I want to talk about this whole issue of porting. So during our first call, we talked about the over-insuring of 25 employees who were in California who received higher than 40% benefit, and we just can't have that happen again. So the scenario is, so I want all of you to imagine, benefit counselors, I want all of you to imagine that you're sitting down in front of somebody who figured out that they've got I'm just making this number up, 52% of their pay covered. And if they're ever disabled, hey, fat city, they got plenty of money. The new guidelines are moving them from 40, where it was supposed to be, down to 25. So you might find yourself sitting in front of or sitting next to an employee who says, well, but I had 52 now. So let's talk about how to handle that conversation so it's done correctly. What I don't want you to do is to say, well, if you want to keep what you have, you can always just take it as an individual pay and take it off into, a payroll deduction and keep it. That way you can keep it as long as you want. I really don't want that to be your first answer. We owe the employees the truth at all times. We never violate that. But what we don't want to do is to educate this workforce of 25 people who have more than 40% that there's an easy way to keep it, and that's just port it if you really want to have the higher benefit. So the way I would like you to approach this is I'll role play this with you. So if I was you, the new company guidelines for Ernest Packaging for short-term disability coverage in the state of California, because it does have SDI, state disability insurance, is a maximum of 25% disability. So our instructions are to move you from the policy you have to the new group policy. It's guaranteed issue, so you don't have to worry about anything. And you'll have a maximum of 25%, and that'll put you in compliance with the company guidelines. I'd stop there. If they don't say anything, you move it across, and off we go. But let's talk about the one who says, well, now, wait a minute. I'm doing some math here, and I've got 50%. And somebody told me some time ago, or my brother or my cousin or whoever, that if I wanted to keep this policy, I could, and I could pay for it on my own. I'd look at them and say, yes, if you wanted to keep the policy on your own, you can force the policy and you can keep it. You know, there's nobody that can stop you from doing that. The company, however, would prefer that you operate within the guidelines that they've established for the employees of Ernest Packaging, and that is to migrate that policy from the policy you have over to the group disability policy with a maximum of 25%. Or anything that sounds like that in your own words. You get the idea. We're never going to withhold information because we're in an industry and we have the moral compulsion and obligation to share the truth with the employees. This was all discussed with Ernest Packaging. And, you know, we owe them the truth, but we don't want to put it out there first. That, oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, just port it. Hey, you bet. No. Because we want to have as many people as we can underneath the guidelines. So is everybody cool with that? Everybody got that? All right, cool. Ronnie, back to you.
I just wanted to add, as far as the database goes, for all intents and purposes, it is ready, and I know I made it able to go offline. But if everybody can please hold off, I just want to do a couple of quick tests tomorrow, and I might need to make one update. So tomorrow is Wednesday. I can send an email out to everybody, or if you can just wait till end of business day tomorrow, the database, you know, unless I tell you otherwise, is ready to go, and you can go ahead and download offline. So just give me through tomorrow, and you can, after maybe 5 o'clock tomorrow, feel free to go ahead and, if you're going offline, to download the database offline. Does anybody else have any questions?
I do. It's Susie.
Hey, Susie.
Okay, so in the spirit of, you know, full disclosure, and yes, we owe them the truth. If someone says to me, okay, I'll do that, and because they're probably going to save some money anyway, because it's less, you know, might be less expensive, but in any event, I can keep this one too, right? If I leave the company. So what would, I mean, you know, it's not.
Well, number one, group disability is portable as well. You know, we all know that.
Yes. Yes.
So do you mean in addition to? Do you mean in addition to the policy they have currently?
It's portable, but the rates are going to increase. So I mean, I don't know how. You know, it's not going to cost the same. It's not like they have to. The rates are going to go up. So I mean, won't say too much about it. But yeah, I mean, they can keep it. But I'm just, you know, it's not exactly the same, and I don't. We always want to tell the truth about everything, of course.
I would tell the truth, but this is like raising your kids. You don't go full disclosure about all the content of the movie that mom and dad went and saw. You know.
Yeah.
You just, you know, I mean, you know, it's a squishy spot. Yes, ma'am.
Mike, this is Margot. Okay, so any group benefit, it's portable. Well, not any, but some group benefits that are portable, which will now be an individual pay. So it transfers over to an individual pay cost. We can disclose that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's totally fine.
We just don't know what it would be, so it's just not the same.
We just don't know what it would be. Yeah, we don't know what it would be.
Sure. Okay.
So that's what you would say, Susie.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Margot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crystal, are you still on the phone? Oh, I was going to see if Crystal had anything to add, but.
Yes,
oh, yeah, no, go ahead, Crystal.
I just keep muting myself so I don't sound too loud. But yes, that all sounds good. I don't really have anything to add to that.
Mike?
So, yes, I wanted to jump down into the section on working conditions and communications. Are you going to be going through that, or because I've got a couple of things I want to highlight there.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we've got the very best of working conditions here. Due to the fact that we're migrating everybody to this realignment of benefits, it was vital that we have one-on-one conditions enrollment paperwork or waivers, which is still on the enrollment election form from every employee. New subject, the RIVS online scheduler. So in order to manage all of the trafficking of employees where they could still use their or still honor their obligation to their company for operations, efficiency, et cetera, and yet still come in and make time to sit with the benefit counselor, we're going to use the same scheduler that we typically use in some of the hospitals or larger cases. For those of you that were on the hospital in LA with me, the RIV scheduler, RIVS. If any of you have not used the scheduler, and maybe even if you have, I would strongly suggest that you log into the scheduler, refamiliarize yourself with you, because it's not a tool that we work with every day, like Harmony. It's something that we use when the operational needs are best suited by that tool. So you're going to have employees who will probably walk over to you and say, look, I just came down to tell you that, it's 2 o'clock and I can't make the 2 o'clock appointment. Can you cancel me and move me to another time? And what time will that be? Well, they're going to be asking you to jump in on the scheduler. So you'll have admin access. HR has admin access. Ronnie has admin access. It's important that all of you understand, go in, familiarize yourself with the tool again. Just familiarity is going to, avoid any problems. So please take it for a test drive and do that. And then the survey form. There were the two folks that we sat with, Jennifer and Tresha, last year, made a comment about when I had our meeting, when Crystal and I were there. They were not aware of the survey form. So whoever they sat with, if they sat with somebody when they went and sat down, they didn't get handed a survey form. I just want to remind everybody that that is a 100% no exceptions requirement. Every single employee gets handed that survey form, and please ask them, put it on the top of your paperwork, and just say, please take the 35 seconds that it'll take to circle the answer that applies and turn this into your supervisor. Those are the key words. On the bottom of the form, it says turn it into HR. For you, what you want to do is tell them to turn it into their supervisor, unless they're in the corporate location in Commerce. That's where HR lives, so they could turn it into HR. So the last point that I wanted to make was the value add, the well card. They also both indicated that no one had ever told them about the well card. So the well card is something that we have for a couple of years since it became available, given to the employees who sit down with a benefit counselor at that place of employment. So whether they enroll or they waive, I want to make sure that every benefit counselor gives every single employee the well card, and that you explain to them what the well card is and how it's used so it can represent some value. If you just hand them a flyer, it will be just a stupid flyer with a stupid little card on it, and who cares? But if you give them a moment, to explain that in some detail, we will convey a higher value of what that card represents to them, to that employee, and then they'll kind of have a higher respect for their workplace, because they get things at their workplace that they are not getting at some other employer. And I think that covers everything that I have. That's it. That's my list.
Oh, I'm just going to add 2 quick things. For those of you who are actually looking at the GoToMeeting on your computer, and I'll make this real quick for those who are not, there are links to every location. So all you'd have to do is, if an employee comes in, they need to reschedule, You click on the link. It's going to take you to that list of location of all the employees that have already scheduled. And as you can see, this location rocked. They've done a lot of people have already scheduled. And if you scroll over to the right, you can just click on that employee's schedule right there. It just looks like a regular list and hit the reschedule button. So I just wanted to show that real quickly while I had you guys on the phone. Also, if you wouldn't.
Hey, Ronnie?
Yeah?
Before you leave the subject of the scheduler, I just wanted to remind everybody that, we've got this set up for half-hour blocks. And employee number one, who's sitting down with the benefit counselor, is sitting there, and they're all great. But let's just say they're taking a long time. If employee number two comes down, they expect to get started at or about their appointment time. So if you're sitting with employee number one and employee number two, who's there at 2:30 and is expecting to get started, then our recommendation on how to handle employee number one, who's taking a long time to do their thing, would be to say, look at them politely and say, you know what, we're not going to be finished in the allotted time, so let's look on the schedule right now and find another time block that works for your schedule. And that way, Susie, who is my next appointment at 2:30 or whatever that time is, can sit down at her allotted time and have a full 30 minutes to take care of her. So let's grab that real quick and then just go ahead and schedule them and send them on their way. And when they come back, you can finish. So back to you, Ronnie.
Okay, I just want to end with, if everybody could please, when it's your time to go out and enroll at your location, I would like at least one, if you're by yourself, obviously that'll be you, but if there's multiple benefit counselors, I want one person to text me so I know a benefit counselor is on hand, on time at the meetings. You can either, my cell phone number is on the enrollment guides. You can either text my cell phone, you can call and leave a message on my office line, you can send me an email, it doesn't matter. I just want to know on that day if Salt Lake City is having the enrollment, that at least one of the benefit counselors called me 5 minutes before start time to let me know that they're, everybody's there and has arrived and getting ready to start. We just want to make sure, and again, we talked about this in the previous meeting, if anybody is going to be late, and you're going to be late, make sure if you're working with somebody else that other benefit counselor knows so they can inform HR or contact, because you'll have the contact number for every location contact person on the guidelines, and let them know. So obviously we don't want that to happen at all, but if, it's unforeseen circumstances and you're going to be late, please reach out and let somebody know so we can handle it. And also make sure to cover anybody that might have had that, first slot of the day. I think that's pretty much it except for our last passcode, which is going to be blue, the color blue, BLUE. Anybody have any last final thoughts?
Bonnie, you know what? I do have a question. I've been
Sure.
looking at, this is Deborah Lynn. I've been looking at the scheduling time and the core meetings and whatnot. For the day that we go to our locations and we're scheduled to be there at 8 a.m., are we just going to jump in and sit with the employees, or are we going to be presenting?
You're just going to jump in, and Crystal is going to be going to pretty much most of the locations that morning or the day before, depending on when they're doing, having their broker out.
I'll be on location with you on all the locations you're at, Deb.
Okay, so
but you're not going to be presenting. The presenting is either in the morning or the day before. The only location that's going to be presented by a colonial benefit counselor is our Las Vegas location. Mona over in Las Vegas is going to cover, and she's going to do the presentation for Crystal at 7 a.m. prior to the colonial individual enrollments. But all other locations, your time is your actual start time. That's when an employee is going to come in and sit down. So if you have an 8 or 8:30 start time, obviously be there, 20, 30 minutes before, so you're set up and ready to go for when that first person walks in the room, but you will not be doing any presentations.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, then I think that's it. Everybody should have my phone number and my email address. I'm sure a lot of questions pop up in the middle of the night the next day. We are recording this, So we will send out the link to all the benefit counselors if you need to review this again. But if you have any questions, please, feel free to just send me a quick email. And if I don't have an answer right away, I'll get one for you as soon as possible.
Hey, Ronnie, this is Candace.
Yes.
I just had a quick question. I didn't see anywhere where Mike's survey was actually available to print. Is that something we need to print and bring, and how do we get that?
I will send that with the field bill. There's still a few more documents that I'm going to be sending out to everybody, and you should have it by tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I think only the guidelines originally went out because we were still working on, collecting everything. Plus, I will be able to, I think I'll have my hands on the plan summaries. I might already have that. I know a lot of you like to have the core benefit plan summaries on hand to help tie the colonial in to the medical, and in case somebody asks a question. So we'll provide you with, as much information as we have on the core benefits. So you will have that as well. So I'll send the plan summaries for the core, field bill, Mike's survey form, and there'll probably be a few other associated documents that I might send out, but I'm just trying to send it in one email to you guys versus piecemeal, and then you guys have to locate it. But, if you guys can maybe put it up on your desktop or set a file aside for just Ernest, since there'll be multiple attachments so you can find everything in one place, that would probably be a really good idea to stay organized. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, everyone. I know it's for a lot of you, it's really late. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Again, please call or email if you have any questions. And thank you so much.
Thank you.